American pressure on Israel, not Israel, while visiting Israel, and unacceptable to Israel, to the land of Israel.
Welcome to Eyes on Israel. I'm Rabbi Pesach Wolicki. In March 2018, President Donald Trump signed into law the Taylor Force Act, or TFA, a law named for Taylor Force, an American veteran of Iraq and Afghanistan who was murdered by a terrorist in the city of Jaffa in 2016 while on a visit to Israel. The Palestinian Authority, under the leadership of Mahmoud Abbas, immediately began paying the family of the murderer. Paying large lifetime rewards to the families of terrorist murderers has been the policy of the Palestinian Authority since its inception. The U.S. State Department estimates that in 2019, for example, the PA paid out $340 million to terrorists and their families under this policy. The Taylor Force Act requires the U.S. to withhold all economic aid to the Palestinian Authority so long as they continue this pay-for-slay program. In August 2018, in the first round of enforcement, the Trump administration cut hundreds of millions of dollars in aid. Then, in February 2019, they ceased all aid to the PA as per the TFA. After this decision, something amazing happened. Terrorism declined. Less Israelis were being murdered. In the 5-year period, 2014 to 18, 100 Israelis and visitors to Israel were murdered by terrorists, an average of 20 per year, with a low of 14 in 2018, the year the TFA became law. In 2019, the first year of TFA enforcement, the number of murder victims fell to 11, and in 2020 it fell further to 3. But it's not just about the money. Terrorist murders in Israel were on the decline ever since Donald Trump took office. From 2014 to 2018, the two lowest annual numbers of victims of terror in Israel were 2017 and 18, the first 2 years of the Trump administration. Even before the passage of the TFA, Donald Trump's policies and statements sent a clear message to Israel's enemies that under his administration, terrorism would not be rewarded. Shortly after taking office, on March 26, 2021, the Biden administration announced that it would be sending $75 million to the Palestinian Authority to, quote, regain the trust and goodwill, end quote, of the PA in the wake of the Trump cuts in aid. The Biden State Department said at the time that this was only the beginning of a renewed pledge to support the PA, and to date, the Biden administration has given over $1 billion to the Palestinian Authority. What happened next should not surprise anyone. 2021 saw 17 Israelis murdered by Arab terrorists, the highest number since 2015, before the Trump administration. And all these murders were after the renewal of American aid at the end of March, a full quarter into the year. Not surprisingly, 2022 saw yet another rise, with 31 people losing their lives to terrorist murderers. And 2023 was deadlier than 2022, even before October 7th. So how is this happening? The Taylor Force Act is not just a Trump-era policy or a presidential executive order that can easily be reversed by the next administration. The Taylor Force Act is law, passed by both houses and signed by the president. Simply put, the Biden administration is breaking the law. And now, with Israel destroying Hamas, Joe Biden and his Secretary of State, Antony Blinken, are insisting that the Palestinian Authority, who pays terrorist murderers, be invited in to govern the Gaza Strip when the war is over. The inescapable conclusion we must draw from all this is that the current U.S. administration, through its criminal violation of U.S. law, is indirectly, yet knowingly, funding the families of terrorists with U.S. taxpayer dollars. They are incentivizing the murder of Israeli citizens. Joining me now is Stuart Force, Taylor Force's father, who has been watching this troubling situation closely. Stuart Force, welcome to the program.
Thank you so much. It's an honor to be on your program. Truly is. and the timing is quite appropriate. On Friday marks 8 years since we lost Taylor to
Wow.
the terrorist act, and we're
So,
still.
Stuart, so tell us a bit about how the Taylor Force Act came to be, and what are your thoughts on the violation, the criminal violation of that act by the Biden administration?
Well, the short version of how it came to be occurred shortly after we lost Taylor. The summer of 2016, we were contacted by a gentleman that we did not know, Sandra Gerber, who has since become a true friend of the Force family. He shared with us a video of the Palestinians celebrating the death of our son on the in Jaffa. And he also shared a PDF showing exactly how the Palestinian Authority rewarded their terrorists through the Pay for Slave program for murdering, injuring innocent civilians in Israel. So he put us in touch with Senator Graham, who was our senator in South Carolina at the time, and he took it from there. Next thing we knew, we were in uh, Washington, D.C. at a press conference and announcing the introduction of the Taylor Force Act, which, as you said, stops the payment to the Palestinian authorities until they renounce terrorism, start the payments, and remove the pay for slave from their books.
Yeah, it's pretty straightforward. American taxpayer dollars shouldn't be funding the families of terrorist murderers. I mean, that seems pretty straightforward. So, ever since the Biden administration, as I detailed in my opening monologue, ever since the Biden administration got into power, they've been violating the Taylor Force Act, an open violation of U.S. law. So, I understand that you're doing something about it. Can you tell our viewers what's happening on that front?
Yes, we are actively pursuing federal complaints in Northern District Court of Texas, asking to cease and desist the violation of the Taylor Force Act. We got, with the support of Congressman Ronnie Jackson from Texas and the leadership of America First Legal, we are asking for them to address the situation. And we got a pretty good news earlier this year when the judge in the matter said that indeed we did have standing, which is an important prerequisite for the lawsuit to continue. We're now following through on that, getting depositions, and hopefully, as a result of this lawsuit, these withholding of money sent to Palestinian Authority will resume. One point to be made: the money that was withheld goes into escrow so that if the Palestinian Authority does indeed stop paying terrorists and ends their program, they would get this money back. However, they have shown no inclination to do either. The administration's attempt to gain the trust and goodwill of the Palestinian Authority is rather laughable. They are not trustworthy, nor do they exhibit any goodwill towards any other entity.
Yeah, and we now know as well that the atrocities committed on October 7th were not only committed by Hamas, but it's recently come out that there were operatives who were members of Fatah. And for those who don't know, Fatah is the faction that is Mahmoud Abbas's faction, essentially the Palestinian Authority faction within the Palestinian population, who also participated in those atrocities. And just about 2 weeks ago, there was a terrorist attack committed by someone who worked for the security services of the Palestinian Authority. People need to understand that when we talk about a moderate Palestinian leadership in Mahmoud Abbas, there's nothing of the sort. These are supporters of terrorism. Have you received any feedback or any response from the administration to this complaint, to this lawsuit, or have they just ignored it thus far?
No, they have not ignored it. They have filed motions to dismiss on various grounds, and up to this point, the judge has ruled that their motions have no validity, and we're proceeding forward. And I might add one other item that with the admission that UNRWA, the United Nations organization, is deeply embedded in Hamas and terror activities. That is also will be included in our efforts to cease funding of these organizations. The administration, I've asked several times to different webinars and people that know what information is the Biden administration basing this giveaway of American tax dollars? What information do they have that the rest of us don't have that this will affect peace in the region? And everybody to a person says they have no idea why the administration is doing this. And that's pretty disheartening.
It certainly is. Well, Stuart Force, thank you so much for joining us. All I could say about this is another example, just like the border, of the Biden administration brazenly ignoring the law, the stated will of the people of the United States when it doesn't fit with their policy goals. They keep screaming about democracy while they openly violate the law. Stuart Force, the nation of Israel shares in your pain for the loss of your son, but at the same time, we are grateful to you and your family as your son's name has become synonymous with a law designed to protect Israeli lives. So thank you and bless you for all that you're doing. We'll be right back with more Eyes on Israel right after this short break.